The first shift begins in silence, not in words, not in confrontation, but in the quiet spaces where distractions fade and truth slowly rises to the surface. Because when she realizes she lost you, it doesn't arrive as a sudden storm, but as a gradual awareness that something meaningful is no longer there, something that once brought stability, comfort, and emotional security into her life. And at first she may try to ignore it, filling her time with noise, people, and temporary pleasures, convincing herself that everything is fine and that she made the right decision. But silence has a way of revealing what noise tries to hide. And in those calm, unguarded moments, your absence starts to feel real. She begins to notice the difference between what she has now and what she had with you. Not in grand gestures, but in the small details. The way you listened, the way you showed up consistently, the way you cared without needing to be asked, and that realization slowly grows stronger, not because someone tells her, but because she feels it, deeply and personally. And while this process unfolds within her, something powerful must also begin within you, because your response to this situation defines your future. And instead of waiting, wondering, or seeking validation, you turn inward and begin to rebuild yourself from the inside out, focusing on your physical health as a foundation for emotional strength, understanding that a healthy body creates a clearer, more stable mind. So you start simple. You move your body every day, even if it's just a walk in the fresh morning air or gentle stretching, that awakens your muscles and improves your circulation. These small actions begin to restore your energy, helping you feel more alive and present. And over time, they become a routine that grounds you, something you can rely on no matter what is happening around you. And alongside movement, you begin to nourish your body with better choices, choosing foods that support your well-being rather than harm it, adding more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and clean sources of protein into your daily meals, drinking enough water to stay hydrated and focused. And as your body begins to feel lighter and stronger, your mind follows, becoming less clouded by stress and more capable of handling emotions with clarity and control. And this is especially important as you grow older, because your body and mind deserve care, patience, and consistency, not extremes or neglect. And as your physical and nutritional habits improve, your lifestyle begins to shift in ways that create peace. You develop routines that bring structure and calm into your day, waking up with intention, sleeping with a clear mind, reducing unnecessary stress, and allowing yourself moments of quiet reflection without fear, because silence is no longer something to escape, but something to embrace. It becomes a place where you reconnect with yourself, where you understand your thoughts and emotions without judgment, and gradually, your mindset transforms. You stop seeing yourself as someone who was left behind and start recognizing that you were given an opportunity to grow, to elevate, and to build a life that is not dependent on anyone else's presence. You realize that your value does not decrease because someone failed to see it, and instead of chasing what left, you begin to attract what aligns with your new level of awareness and self-respect. And this internal growth changes everything, because while she is reflecting on what she lost, you are becoming someone who is no longer defined by that loss. You are creating a life that feels fulfilling on its own, a life where your happiness comes from your habits, your health, and your mindset, not from external validation. And in this process, you gain something far more important than closure. You gain control over your own life, your own direction, and your own peace. And that is where true strength begins to take root, not in proving anything to anyone, but in quietly becoming better every single day, stronger in your body, calmer in your mind, and more grounded in your purpose, moving forward with confidence and clarity without needing to look back. What follows after that quiet realization is something even more revealing, because once the distractions begin to lose their effect and the initial denial fades, she starts to compare her present experiences with what she once had, not out of intention, but as a natural response of the human mind, searching for meaning and emotional consistency. And in those comparisons, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. She begins to notice that what once felt ordinary with you was actually rare. The consistency you showed, the calm presence you carried, the genuine care that didn't need to be performed or exaggerated. And suddenly the things she may have overlooked or taken for granted begin to stand out in sharp contrast to the inconsistency and superficial connections she may now encounter. Because not everyone brings depth into a relationship. Not everyone knows how to stay, how to support, how to show up without conditions. And this is where the weight of her realization deepens, not because she wants to admit it, but because she feels it in moments that cannot be controlled, in conversations that feel empty, in situations that lack emotional safety, in the absence of the kind of understanding she once experienced with you. And while this internal comparison grows stronger within her, your path continues in a completely different direction, one that is focused not on being remembered but on becoming renewed, because your power lies in your ability to grow beyond what you lost, not remain attached to it. And this is where your daily habits begin to shape a new version of you, one that is healthier, more balanced, and more self-aware. You begin to embrace a lifestyle that supports long-term well-being, especially important as you move through later stages of life, where every choice has a deeper impact on your energy, your mobility, and your peace of mind. And instead of neglecting your body, you begin to listen to it, giving it what it needs to stay active and strong, engaging in light but consistent exercise that fits your pace, whether it's walking through a quiet park, doing gentle strength movements at home, or practicing simple breathing exercises that calm your nervous system and improve your focus. And these small, steady efforts begin to rebuild your confidence, not in a loud or dramatic way, but in a quiet assurance that you are taking care of yourself, and that alone becomes a source of strength. And alongside movement, your approach to food continues to evolve. You understand that your body deserves nourishment, not just convenience, so you begin to choose meals that are balanced and supportive, reducing processed foods and adding more natural ingredients that help you feel energized rather than drained. And over time, this shift in diet improves not only your physical health, but also your emotional stability, because what you consume affects how you feel, how you think, and how you respond to life. And as your body becomes more aligned, your lifestyle begins to reflect a deeper sense of control and peace. You create routines that prioritize rest, allowing yourself to sleep properly and wake up with clarity. You reduce unnecessary stress by letting go of habits and situations that no longer serve you, and you begin to find joy in simple, meaningful moments, whether it's spending time outdoors, engaging in a hobby, or simply enjoying a quiet evening without overthinking the past. And this is where your mindset truly transforms, because instead of seeking closure from someone else, you create it within yourself. You stop questioning your worth and start reinforcing it through your actions, your discipline, and your self-respect. You begin to see that losing someone does not mean losing your value. It means gaining an opportunity to realign your life with what truly matters. And this shift changes how you carry yourself, how you think, and how you move forward, because now you are not driven by what you lost, but by what you are building. And while she continues to process her realization, you are no longer waiting to be understood. You are becoming someone who understands himself, someone who is grounded, healthy, and mentally strong, someone who does not depend on external validation to feel complete. And that is where the real transformation happens, not in being missed, not in being remembered, but in becoming a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more at peace than ever before, continuing to move forward with purpose and quiet confidence without needing to return to what once was. As her realization deepens, the emotions she feels begin to shift from confusion to a quiet recognition of what she lost. And this process is rarely loud or dramatic. It starts in small, everyday moments, when she notices the absence of your steady presence, the subtle ways you brought calm into her life, the patience you exhibited without expectation, the small gestures that spoke volumes about your care, and she begins to understand that those things cannot be easily replaced, that the comfort she took for granted was a rare combination of attention, respect, and authenticity. And as this understanding grows, it triggers reflection, introspection, and sometimes even regret. But it also coincides with your own evolution, because while she is processing her feelings, you are actively creating a life that is healthier, more balanced, and aligned with your own values. And this transformation begins with your body, because physical health is the cornerstone of emotional and mental resilience. And you realize that maintaining strength and vitality is not about extremes or competition. It's about consistent, thoughtful actions. Gentle exercise becomes a part of your daily routine, whether it's walking through a park, stretching in the morning, or practicing light resistance movements that keep your muscles engaged and your body flexible. And through movement, you release tension, improve circulation, and create a sense of energy that carries into every part of your day. And nutrition becomes equally important, because the foods you choose directly influence your energy, mood, and overall well-being. And by prioritizing fresh fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains, while reducing processed foods and excessive sugar, you give your body the fuel it needs to function optimally. And as your energy levels rise, your mind becomes clearer, more focused, and capable of approaching challenges with calm confidence. And alongside exercise and nutrition, your lifestyle habits begin to reflect the change within. You create a rhythm that supports rest, relaxation, and personal growth. You find value in moments of quiet reflection, reading, or mindful practices, allowing yourself to recharge without feeling guilty. And as these habits settle into your daily life, you notice an internal shift in perspective because a positive mindset is cultivated through deliberate choices and consistent self-care. And you begin to understand that your happiness does not depend on anyone else's presence or approval, that the power to create a fulfilling life lies within your own actions and mindset. And this understanding transforms how you perceive relationships, loss, and personal growth, because instead of dwelling on the past or wishing for what cannot be changed, you focus on what you can influence: your health, your habits, your thoughts, and your goals. And this perspective creates a sense of freedom and strength that is impossible to achieve through external validation. And as you build this foundation, you also notice the importance of mental resilience, learning to respond to challenges with patience, clarity, and calm rather than impulsive emotion, because life will always present situations that are beyond your control, and developing the ability to navigate them with balance becomes a critical skill. And through this process, you cultivate self-respect, recognizing that the time, effort, and attention you invest in yourself are not selfish, but necessary for a life of fulfillment. And with this self-respect comes confidence, a quiet assurance that you are capable, worthy, and complete, regardless of anyone else's actions or decisions. And while she experiences the pangs of realizing she lost you, replaying memories, questioning choices, or imagining what could have been, you continue forward, grounded in your new routines, your strengthened body, your nourished mind, and your calm, positive outlook. And this ongoing commitment to yourself becomes a magnetic force, drawing opportunities, relationships, and experiences that align with your elevated state. And this is the essence of true transformation, not about proving someone wrong or creating regret, but about rising above the past, cultivating health, clarity, and balance, and embracing a lifestyle that supports longevity, joy, and inner peace. And through these deliberate choices, you build a life that is fulfilling, resilient, and deeply satisfying, a life that reflects the best version of yourself. And in this space, the power of loss is reframed because it is no longer a source of pain or regret, but a catalyst for growth, self-mastery, and the creation of a life where your happiness, health, and mindset are firmly in your own hands, and every day becomes an opportunity to strengthen your body, nurture your mind, and live intentionally, creating a future that is brighter, healthier, and more aligned with who you truly are.